Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
We are good to go on a Monday morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the show. Anthony Smith, how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I just got back from the doctor. Gonna hang out with you guys for a little bit, and then I got some errands to run. I'm gonna do some motivating today.
Some motivating. That doesn't sound like an errand. That sounds like you're going to go out there. You're going to speak to the next generation. You're going to have a word with the kids. You're going to inspire people to conceive, believe, and achieve.
I'm going to. I got a really good friend that coaches at a college that's NAIA school that's about 40 minutes from here. So I'm going to go talk to the girls and the boys wrestling team, and I might give them some of the wah in there and see if I can take one of them down.
Yeah. Whoa, easy, Tiger. Don't go in there and beat the kids up unless they're little shits.
Well, if they take me down, I'm choking them.
Slap.
I'm choking the shit out of whoever takes me down. So
are you gonna have a little wrestle with them?
Yeah, I'm gonna train with them a little bit.
Yeah. Good. Giving back to the next generation. What a guy.
I'm trying. I told you I'm trying to get in heaven. I'm doing the best I can.
You have no chance, bro. But God is a forgiver. He does forgive.
But he doesn't forget.
His followers don't forgive. They don't shut the fuck up. And they definitely don't forget. No. Anyway.
How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm great, man. It was great. I mean, what did I do? I mean, I loved waking up to UFC 294 super early. Mm-hmm. You know, the fight started at, was it 7 a.m. or 6 a.m.? Regardless, they started super early. But it's nice. What a way to wake up, have my coffee in bed, watch some fights. I went downstairs, jumped on the Peloton, did a little bit while the prelims were on, watched that incredible main card, which we're about to dive in and break down for all of you in just a second. And then, went off. I had a little thing to do with Ellie. Well, we had a little photo shoot, a magazine cover, father and daughter. Yeah, so that was good. Wingman Magazine, it's called. So thanks for having us. But a fantastic weekend, mate. We got to get right into these fights. No time to waste. No time to beat around the bush. Talking about getting beat around the bush, I'm getting beat around the bush on Twitter.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Well, we spoke, and I said that Islam doesn't turn his hip over. And people are going, oh, look at you clown. What a fucking moron. You know, because obviously Islam finished him with a head kick, and Islam was phenomenal. I mean, it was a short but sweet performance. Absolutely incredible. Big respect to Volkanovski for stepping up and giving it a try. It was always a big mountain to climb. It was a tough one to do. I mean, he rolled the dice. He dared to be great. Volk said it wasn't for money. What was your thoughts? It wasn't for money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, he said it wasn't.
Right. No, I mean, it's tough, man. That's such a tough fight. It's a tough fight with a full camp, not for nothing, Volkanovski couldn't beat him with a full camp. Whether you believe that he won the decision or not, he didn't. So he couldn't do it with a full camp. It was going to be really hard to do on 12 days' notice. So it was just an uphill battle. I don't know that anybody can beat Islam with no notice, no preparation. So, and it was just that's the game. It was a really well-timed, well set up, well executed kick. He went to the legs, he went to the body, and we at Factor X, we talk about conditioning people to give a reaction instead of waiting to see what their reaction is. You just condition the reaction that you want out of them. So it's very similar to the Leon Kamaru Usman thing. He went low with that kick for 5 rounds. And then the very last time when it mattered, he went high and Kamaru thought it was going low. Volkanovski kind of same situation. He had taken it to the legs and the body a handful of times and thought it was going low. It went high, zigged when he should have zagged, and that was it.
I tell you what Islam did as well, which was really good. As he was pressuring him back towards the fence, of course, he went low multiple times, of course, setting up the head kick. He was feinting the level change as well, over and over. So, and as we know, Islam's a great wrestler. That's one of his paths to victory, keys to victory. So not only was he going low, he was also feinting the level change. And I will say this, it's not like the setup necessarily worked. right? Because Volkanovski's hands didn't go low. It was just that good of a kick because Volk's hands were still high. But if you see here, it just came above the head, the hand, hit him right on the temple. A beautiful head kick right on the top of the dome. And you see Volkanovski wobbled, hits the canvas, and then Islam was a straight killer, just dived on him. You know, there's a lot of people out there saying there were shots to the back of the head, and he was kind of kneeling on one of his arms or kneeling on his chest whilst he was teeing off. There was nothing illegal about what Islam did one little bit. Even Big John McCarthy, I follow him on Twitter, and of course, a very experienced referee, he was saying the same things. I mean, he hit him on the top of the dome. Here it is. I mean, what a shot. And Volkanovski's got a chin. I mean, I think he's been finished once early in his career. Since then, no one's even hurt him. Look at that, goes down. Yeah, look, there was nothing. He didn't knee him in the head. And some of those shots, listen, Volkanovski's moving. Maybe if one or two of those hammer fists kind of came near the territory of back of the head, it's not an illegal shot. Volkanovski's moving. Volkanovski, to quote my win over Luke Rockhold, his head was bouncing around like a pinball. You know what I mean? It was a great stoppage by Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, well, and the rule isn't necessarily that you can't punch someone in the back of the head. That's not the rule. The rule is you can't target the back of the head. So if you're throwing a strike that started off as a legal targeted strike and they move their head while you're throwing it, the referees will tell you in the back, that's on you. That's your own fault. If you shoot a takedown while someone's kneeing you, but while they started that technique, you were still on 2 feet and it landed while you're on your knees, that's on you. That's 100% your fault. So I think all those shots were legal. I did think I just seen it on here, but I missed it live. It's cool how Islam used his knee as Volkanovski's trying to bury his head to hide it. Islam like shelved his knee up under Volkanovski's chin and lifted it up so he could continue to hammer fist him. Yeah, that's super sneaky. I like that.
I'm not sure if he did that on purpose. He just like, you know what I mean? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. It's because like things happen like that and you look it back and it looks phenomenal. Hate to bring it up. Like when I knocked out Rockhold, what I do is I catch him and I step in and my lead foot goes behind his leg and it looks like a trip. Yeah. It looks like, you know, like, oh, I placed that perfect. No, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just swinging like a maniac. Right. And my foot went there. So who knows? Maybe Islam is that good. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he tactically.
I had a similar situation with Gustafsson, like before we got into the finishing sequence. He tried that like trip that he'd hit me with in the first round. And I throw a knee and it like hits his back leg and that's what stopped him from tripping me, because so it looked like we clinched and I went to sweep him like with a Muay Thai sweep, and that stops the whole thing, and then I take his back. That just it just worked like it looks like I'm a genius, but it just worked like that in the transition as we were moving. It's hilarious, isn't it? Because you see like I won't name any names, no one big or anything, but you see some people do breakdowns on fights and stuff like that, and they overcomplicate. You go, look at here, he moves here, he does this, he does that, he does this. It's like, bro, it's the middle of a fight. If you think these tiny, tiny little microscopic movements are always planned, they're not. You know what I mean? Of course, we train, we get ready. And we're going to go back to Islam in a second because that was fantastic. We just kind of went on a little tangent. You know what I mean? But like these little microscopic movements, you go, oh, look at this. He looked at the floor. He did this. His left finger came up. That was the signal. That was to play a mind game. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, don't read too much into it. They're fighting. Dude, I'm so glad you brought this up. It drives me absolutely. And again, I'm not talking about anyone specific, but sometimes you'll see these boxing breakdowns. So you'll see these striking MMA breakdowns. And I'm just like, you guys are fucking crazy. We're not thinking that. I've watched breakdowns of my own fights and they say, well, then he went here. And then because of this, he did that. No, I didn't. I promise you I didn't. I just was fighting. It's just an instinct. That was just my natural reaction, which goes back to training where you drill something so many times. And sometimes you drill that thing so many times that you have that reaction and it happens to work out perfect for whatever was happening in that moment. But it's not like I'm thinking I'm going to go here. I'm going to look at his big toe. I'm going to step right and I'm going to throw the right hand. No, I'm just moving and it just happens in sequence like that. And sometimes it just looks really pretty, but It drives me crazy when they.
Yeah.
I wish we were as smart as they pretended we were.
Well, Islam might just be as smart as that, though, because I tell you what, he gets better and better. I mean, Dana said at the post-fight presser it's probably going to be Charles Oliveira. I know Justin Gage is out there, and he's certainly got a claim to that. Today's episode is sponsored by Better Health. Look, listen, mental health has a big spotlight on it right now. But sadly, not everyone is taking care of their mental health because, I don't know, maybe there's still a little bit of a stigmatism attached to it. But you got to take charge of it. Reality is we're all going through something, whether it's addiction, substance abuse, anger issues, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, speaking to a licensed professional therapist, which is what BetterHelp offers, will help you. That's a fact. And it's never been easier. With BetterHelp, you just sign up. You will be connected to a licensed professional therapist very, very quickly. If for some reason you're not vibing with that person, well, that's easy. You just change it. You don't have to drive to the other side of town. You don't have to park your car. It is at your convenience, and they are available 24/7. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And as I said, you can switch therapists at any time with no additional charge. Okay, so today, let it be the day that you make a difference in your life. Whatever that problem is, take the bull by the horns and get started. Get on a path to becoming the better version of yourself. Okay, life is a competition only with yourself. Doesn't matter about anybody else. Be the best you. Speak to a therapist today. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. So visit betterhelp.com/believe today and get 10% off your first month. Trust me, you will thank me for this. Give it a try. Get involved. Take the leap. Take the plunge. Take control of your mental health. Go to betterhelp.com/believe. Get 10% off your first month. betterhelp.com/believe. Who would you, if you, not as a matchmaker, but as a fan, what would you like to see next for Islam? And by the way, I'll just throw this in there as well. Somebody asked him about being the backup fighter for Leon versus Colby. And he said, Dana, if you want me to do that, call me, which I really respect. But I think that would be, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I think that would be a waste of Islam's talents just to be a backup fighter. But still, as a fan, who would you like to see next?
I think Justin Gaethje, because of the style matchup. It's the type of wrestler that Islam is. Like Khabib was a much different style of wrestler than Islam, so that style gave Gaethje a lot of problems. But Islam is just a different style of wrestler, so I think that Gaethje will have more success defending takedowns from that style of wrestling versus Khabib's. And Islam has proven to be one of the best strikers in the world, which is something that that's the one thing he has that Khabib never did. And maybe it wasn't maybe Khabib did. It's not, I'm not saying Khabib didn't have the ability. It wasn't his style. He didn't have the desire to stand in front of someone for long periods of time because he didn't have to. So I personally, I would like to see Justin Gaethje just because it's a fresh matchup. Looks like Islam hasn't. I don't want to say he's not missing a step. He's continuing to get better and better. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Charles can't win, but we've seen that already. And I don't know that. Do we really want to give Islam another rematch? I think there's a perfect fresh matchup out there.
I totally agree. I'm not going to be mad if it is Charles Oliveira. No. And by all accounts, it is going to be. And listen, fair play. Charles Oliveira beat Beneil Dariush, inserted himself into that. For Islam Makhachev, I guess if he can fight Charles and beat Charles again, he can close the book on that, just like he closed the book on Volkanovski. Right. But yeah, Justin Gage is a fresh matchup. We haven't seen that one. And it would be fun seeing this new Anderson Silva-esque Islam Makhachev going up against Justin Gage and to see if he can take Justin Gage down, because we know about the wrestling. But still, that's if, buts, and maybes. You brought up an interesting point there because about Khabib and Islam, because you know there's going to be a lot of comparisons between these two. We'll talk about Volkanovski in a minute, but I'm sure Islam doesn't want to hear people like us talking about, can he overtake the legacy of Khabib? And I don't think he will, because Khabib was the first. He represented Dagestan to the highest. He's known as the GOAT, the greatest lightweight of all time. Some people have him as the actual GOAT. But I think when you look at the resume, and listen, and this is more credit, I think, to Khabib as well. And of course, Abdul Manap, Khabib's late father, that they're creating fighters of this caliber. Because, I think it's fair to say Islam's doing things and winning fights in ways that Khabib didn't. He was 29-0. He beat some really, really good competition along the way. But if Islam carries on like this, soon we might be talking about him as the GOAT. And he's already throwing shade at John Jones.
Yeah, I seen the John Jones stuff. Do you think that Islam would have a problem with us making that comparison if Khabib wasn't his mentor? That's how I look at it. I don't think he would have that problem. He wouldn't have a problem.
He would not have that problem whatsoever. But it will just make him feel awkward.
Definitely. I think the Justin Gaethje fight would do more for his legacy than Charles Oliveira. The more names he can add to that list and not keep repeating them, I think the better. If he can go Gaethje and then say Beneil or Dustin get a W. And then insert them. So I'm not saying we don't do the Charles one. Just saying if he can get, he's going to have to probably fight Charles at some point. Even if it's not the next time, he's going to have to do it soon anyways, because I don't see Charles going away. So if he can add a Poirier, a Gaethje, a Charles Oliveira, and then as these guys come up, I think that a couple more title defenses, I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to say that he is the greatest lightweight of all time.
Well, if he can take out Charles, which I'm assuming he is highly favored to do so because of the way...
Which is the one that Khabib never did.
Which is the one that Khabib never did. If he can take out Justin Gaethje, right? And that's a big if. Yeah. But if he can, right, the conversation is getting juicy. Yeah. If he can add a Dustin Poirier to that, right? Again, and then who else is there after that? I mean, okay, we've got Conor McGregor, we've got Michael Chandler. He hasn't fought Chandler. I think 2 or 3 more wins, then of course this is a very valid conversation, but not one that he wants to hear because, it just makes you feel awkward. It's like, I'm trying to think of a comparison in life where someone talks about you when someone else is there and you're like, oh, leave it. But anyway.
Similar to like the teammate conversation, like teammates fighting each other. Like, between those two, they know who would probably win, but they're not going to say that. It's not fair to put him in that position. I totally agree. Congratulations to Islam and Khabib and the whole team, because that's how you do it, right? That's how you shut somebody up. And no disrespect to Volkanovski, we're going to talk about him in a second, but Islam Makhachev, in terms of a rivalry, in terms of Volkanovski, saying that he's fresh, he's going to get the knockout, he's going to do all this. That first fight was close, and the Australian fans and the Volkanovski fans, are kind of creating this narrative. That is how you shut them up once and for all. First round, 3 minutes something, head kick, finish him off. It's done. Yeah. It's over. That was phenomenal. That's it. I mean, there's not much to say. It's not like there was this long back and forth and Volkanovski had some success here, and it was pretty. There was a lot of finality there.
Shall we get a little bit of a take from Harrington and Brian? See what they think.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
I felt like my dog got shot.
Why?
I didn't expect it to end that fast.
Oh.
It was like, because I wanted Volk to win, obviously. So it was like, it hurt more than it should have.
Whoa. You better be careful.
Sounds like a lot of biases.
Wow.
I wanted Volk to win. I like Volk as a fighter. I predicted him to be the double champ at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year. So I thought that was what was about to happen. Turns out, I don't get my way once again.
Oh, well. Harrington, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, watching Volkanovski on the ground there, I'm like, man, why did he take this fight? right? Like that January card was so close. I wanted to see Topuria versus Volkanovski so bad. He's the first credible challenger at featherweight we've had in quite some time. So that was the only thing running through my mind is why put that January fight card in jeopardy? But then I think his post-fight comments really, put it in perspective.
Yeah. Well, that leads us into that nicely, Anthony. What did Volkanovski took to the stage, fair play to him. He was fighting about the tears. He was very emotional. And he was talking about how, and I'm sure you've seen this clip, right? Mm-hmm. About how he has to fight because he feels like there's a void in his life. He has a great family, a great wife, children, money in the bank, successful career, but he just has to be getting ready for a fight. And it kind of brings us back to that conversation we were having last week on the last episode. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing. And I totally get it because he feels like, he's 35 years old, so he probably is trying to make the most of his career whilst he still can. But what were your thoughts?
The whole time he was talking, I just kept thinking, bro, same. I feel exactly the same. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with us, but there's something wrong with us. Because I don't have anything bad going on in my life. I don't have anything to complain about. But when I don't have a fight coming up or a target my mother died. And the only thing I wanted was to book a fight. That was it. It was like the only thing I thought was going to fix me. And it was like, I don't get it. I don't know. I totally understand how he feels. Like you have to have a target. You got to have a destination. Like when I'm not getting ready for a fight, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels, like I'm stuck in mud. So it doesn't matter how fast I go or how hard I push the gas. I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. And that's it's so wrong. It's so wrong. Like much like Volk, I understand, like I have a great family, I got wonderful kids, got a great wife. Like I have nothing bad going on in life, but I don't feel like that until I have a fight coming up.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I'll disagree. And I understand what you're saying. Obviously talking about your mother, mm-hmm. That's the great way to distract your mind from the sadness that you're going through. You know what I'm saying? It's a great way to just dive into something, because if you sit around and have nothing to do, of course, it's gonna hit you even harder. And I think for people like Volkanovski, like yourself, like the majority of fighters, real, for want of a better word, alpha males, they need that. And certainly this is the flag or the peg you've put down in life. Said, this is who I am. I am a fighter. Well, then you need to be getting ready for fights. You need to be going through training camps. You need to be working towards it. And you need to be working towards becoming a champ or a double champ or making the most out of the career, because it doesn't last forever and time flies by. We're almost in 2024 for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2023 has flown by. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I saw that thing. You've probably seen it with Eddie Murphy. Have you seen it when he was walking along? He's at 75 years, 75 springs, 75 summers, winters, 75 autumns, winters. That's it. That's all you get, 75.
That's crazy.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it, but it's crazy.
But it's like, it really puts it into perspective. You only get 75 on average. That's the lifespan. You know what I mean? And I saw that. I'm like, shit, man. I haven't wasted it, but a lot's flown by. That's how quick it goes. And certainly the fight career is a small window. So you should be chomping at the bit if you're a real one. Not if you're a fake, not if you're a wannabe, not if you just want to have tattoos and say, I have my 15 minutes of fame inside the octagon. But if you want to be a real one and you're truly there to test yourself and try and become one of the best, that is the mindset you should have.
Yeah, when he was talking, this is gonna sound stupid. I wanted to give him a hug, and just be like, bro, you're not the only one. I know we don't necessarily all talk about it that much, and because we're tough guys, and you don't want to seem like you're not tough or you got some I don't know, mental health issues, but I just wanted, I wish I could have just been there in that moment and been like, dude, you were not the only one. I feel like that. I know a handful of other fighters that it feels like your life is falling apart sometimes. You don't know what to do with your time and you don't know what to do with yourself. If you're injured, when coming off a surgery like he was, you just don't know what to do with yourself. Like you spent so much time, and some of it is our path too, to getting there. Like you fight as much as you can on the regional scene. You're chasing down the biggest, best shows and opponents you can to try to get your opportunity in the UFC. And if you go and you look at how often the guys in the UFC are fighting, the further up in the rankings you get, the less you fight. So like you get signed, there's guys at Factory X, those guys will fight 4 or 5 times a year. Like they don't get a break. As soon as they fight, they take a week off and they got another one booked, because if you look at everything like in bubbles, there's a bubble of guys that are ranked 30 to 20, and there's or 50 to 20 or whatever. And those guys just keep getting mixed and matched. And those are the guys they fill those cards with. You got to fill the prelims. There's only so many main events. I mean, there's only so many pay-per-views that Volkanovski can fight on. If there's 14 a year, how many of those is he going to be able to fight on? There's not that many. So as you work up, you're fighting as often as you can, trying to make money, you're trying to grow and grind. And then once you kind of make it, there's not that many opportunities. And so it's tough.
No, it is. And then just to touch on that before we move on, I think fighters, a lot of them, and tell me your opinion on this. I think, and I don't mean wallowing in self-pity after a loss, right? I'm not a fan of that, right? It's a sport, and we step in there, and one man has to win, and one person has to lose. And of course, we can deal with our losses. And I'm not talking shit about Volkanovski. I'll explain what I mean in a second. I feel like we're generally, I know I am, and I don't know about you, but I'm going to ask you. I feel like fighters are very emotional people.
Very.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I do feel like we're a certain subsect of society, I think that's what makes us fighters in the first place, you know. But I know myself, I'm a crybaby. I'm not going to cry at stupid little shit, but my emotions are very, very. I mean, I'm a pussy deep down. I'll fight tooth and nail. I'll fight to the death. But when it comes down to it, I'm a little baby.
Dude, I'm the same way. I'm very sensitive.
Same.
I'm super sensitive. I'm a kind of an emotional mess at times. I'm up and down, and I've always been like that. So I agree with what you're kind of what you posed as. Maybe that's what does kind of make us fighters, because I will fight to the death if I have to, but I'll get my feelings hurt pretty easy too. So, but in losses, I don't know. I think I have a better perspective on losses now than maybe I used to, but they used to crush me. And like my wife used to be like, it would crush her because she knows what she's about to have to go through dealing with how hard I take it. Cause I'm not an easy person to be around. Not that I'm out going crazy and, you know, being an asshole to people, but like, I'm just like emotionally damaged from it. And so she's like, oh, I got to lift this fucking pussy up again. Like, no, I got to lift him back up.
It's the woman's job.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with you there. I think that some of it is the world we live in though, because we're football. Like I went to the Chiefs game last night. The Chiefs win the game. It was a fantastic game. She was there. Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift was there.
Thank God.
Travis Kelce balled out. It was perfect, but like,
I'm over the Taylor Swift bullshit. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's not get into it. Don't get into it.
Don't get me into it.
I am sick of turning on the fucking news and seeing them reporting on Taylor Swift. There's a lot of heavy shit going on right now.
Right.
And I guess
Taylor Swift at the Chiefs game again.
I'm
glad she's there.
Swift.
I don't think it's even their fault. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for. Wouldn't you would hate to be Travis Hill. You would hate to be Travis Kelce right now. That would
talk about getting one-upped by your wife. You know what I mean?
Like, God damn it.
He's a professional athlete. He worked his ass off.
He scores a touchdown. They don't even show the replay. They just show what Taylor Swift thought about it.
You go to her doing a little dance with a buddy. They had like some secret handshake. It was all over Instagram this morning.
They're like, fuck Travis Kelce. Look how she feels about it.
I have worked my ass off to get to this position. And now he's walking behind her in every shot. You know what I mean? She's the leader. She's the boss. He's like, oh, can I come, Taylor? Poor guy. I feel for him. He's going to end up killing himself.
I hope not. Anyways,
becoming a drug addict.
Anyways, they win the game and no one really gives a shit. Like, we go on to the next week and no one cares that the Chargers lost. It's not that big of a deal. But fighting's not like that. You're only as good as your last fight. You only fight so many times a year. So you take a loss and you don't fight again for 3 months. You have no opportunity to make that go away. There's no chance unless you take something short notice or you jump in. But for the most part, you're going to have to wait 3 or 4 months before you even have an opportunity to make that wrong right. And then when you do, everyone else is going to throw it back in your face. Like, oh yeah, well, maybe he beat that guy, but the last guy beat the fuck out of him. So some of it's the world we live in where you're kind of always reminded about your losses, and those will always trump the wins. So I think it does make a lot of the fighters in the sport emotional because people tell us all the time, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to move forward. You got to move on. Well, how are fighters supposed to let it go when everybody else will do nothing but remind them about it? Like, no wonder fighters are head cases.
Yeah, but that's kind of the world we live in now. You know, people love to put people down. You know, like even this morning, I've got people posting pictures or the gifs of me getting knocked out of Dan Henderson. Still, I mean, what is that? 14 years later, do you know what I mean? Like, It doesn't bother me one little bit, but just to your point, you know what I mean? That's what happens. And it's kind of, it's you put yourself out there, you kind of put yourself on a social pedestal. You're there. That's just it. That's it. You know, it's the world we live in.
I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for us. Just
no, it's part of the job. It's part of the job. And I don't think Volk was necessarily getting upset about the loss. I don't, because losses happen. It's a part of the sport.
He just had a vulnerable moment.
He had a vulnerable moment because it all comes
it.
crashing down. And I appreciated it because it's nice to see the human element. You know what I mean? I think one time after my Anderson Silva fight, I kind of got a little bit of emotion, a little emotional. And it's kind of one of the first times, you let those cracks open, let the world see into the real version of yourself. You know what I mean? Because we have this armor that we wear in life. And I think that's even heightened as a martial artist or as a fighter or a boxer or whatever, because you're supposed to always be the tough guy. You know what I mean? Right. You're supposed to always have your shit together. Nothing's ever supposed to be able to bother you. You're supposed to be able to win every single fight. Well, guess what? I can't win every single fight. I am a human being. Shit does get you down. I'm arguing with my wife. My kids are doing my head in. Pets' heads are falling off.
Pets' heads are falling off.
Well, shut the fuck up, okay? Right? So, excuse me, I'm going to go and have a little cry.
Right. I'm with it. I'm glad that Volkanovski, I'm glad that he let us in. I appreciated that moment. I know. I'm just
get back on track. So Volkanovski, I mean, fair play. That took a lot of balls, right? And
should he fight in January?
Yes.
You think so?
Yep. 100%.
In 2.5 months versus a big hitter.
It's 3 months. It's the 20th of January. It's, what was it now? The 22nd?
Which means he's got to jump right back in camp. Back to getting punched in the head.
Yeah.
3 months after getting knocked out.
He didn't get knocked out.
It's about as close as you're going to get.
I mean, he didn't get knocked out, though. But I'll give you, I fought Dan Henderson in July, and I was back in there in October, July, September, October. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
Right.
But for Volkanovski, what we just saw from him, that fire, that anger, that torment that he feels is going to be even worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was worst case scenario for Topuria.
Or best case scenario, because think about it.
A pissed off Volk coming off a loss seems like a bad deal.
Yeah. But it can either create a monster or it can either cause you to shell up a little bit. And I'm not saying Volkanovski is going to be a lesser version of himself. It's a good, if you're going to fight Volkanovski, who's the pound for pound number one on the planet, Ilia Topuria is a bad man. He's very, very good. The perfect time to fight him is after he's just gotten head kick knocked out. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that.
And hope that he's a little bit gun shy.
Yeah, that's
like a little bit tentative. Maybe like a Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. Because the Kamaru we seen, I know we're getting into it, but the Kamaru we seen on Saturday was a much better version than the one that fought Leon Edwards, in my opinion.
100%. Well, because, you know, for Volkanovski, it's confidence. His confidence will have been dipped. Volkanovski had one loss prior to that, and it was so long ago. His mindset is invincible. He's undefeatable.
Yeah.
Right? Because other than that one loss a long time ago, forget about that. It doesn't matter. He's the pound for pound number one. He's going up against Islam. Yeah, okay. He lost a razor close fight. I'm talking about when he got knocked out a long time ago. You know, and as you know, as a fighter, confidence is everything. And if you can just start to chip away at that confidence, knock it down a little bit, sprinkle in a loss there, a little submission there, a TKO over here, a little rear naked choke loss there, you're a different person to what you were 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're young and you're coming up and you're wiping the floor with everyone, whoa, you're the man. You know, so for Topuria, number one, I think Volkanovski, excuse me, it's the sport we're in. And I think 3 months for me, I'm not a doctor, it's probably long enough. I think 60 days, something like that, is the mandatory, the suspension, and that'll be put in place due to medical reasons. So I think he'll be fine. And I think it'll be good for him. I do think it'll be good.
I think he needs it. I think like in here,
yeah,
I think like his heart needs it for sure. So if that's what he wants and that's what he needs, he knows the risk. He knows what the potential risks of that are. But I think you're right, though. I guess I never considered I just thought like, man, I bet Topuria's like, oh, of course. Now I'm going to get the angry, pissed off, I'll show you version of Volkanovski. And if that's the one that shows up, that's a tough guy to beat.
And by the way, everything we just said there and everything what I said about the confidence and all the rest of it of Volkan, these are theories. These are theories. I'm not saying that Volkanovski is going to show up a shell of himself. Volkanovski might show up the best version.
He might show up an absolute killer.
Yeah, because it's lit a fire and it's like, shit, I got to remind the world because I know I still got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying these are eventualities. They are possible outcomes. All right, guys, I want to tell you about Kachava, which is one of our newest sponsors. And I am telling you, this supplement, this super blend of superfoods and greens and proteins and everything that you need for your body is amazing. Listen, long gone are the days now where you have to go in and you got to have a protein powder, you got to have your super greens, you got to have your probiotics, your adaptogens, your antioxidants. Kachava has blended it all together in one. It gives you everything that your body craves and you will feel your absolute best. And the good thing is they are delicious. They are absolutely beautiful. It's creamy, smooth, and it comes in 5 delicious flavors. They've got the chocolate, the vanilla, the chai, the matcha, and the coconut acai. Listen, as I said, before you had to have your protein. Well, this has 25 grams of plant protein per serving. And as I said, it's got the superfoods, it's got the greens, the proteins, the antioxidants, the adaptogens, and the probiotics. And let me tell you, you feel fantastic after this. I'm really noticing a difference in my recovery from lifting weights. It's really helping with the protein synthesis. You feel great afterwards. You are energized throughout the day. I'm going to the bathroom nice and regularly, and it looks good when it's coming out. Anyway, moving on from that because it's disgusting, but this stuff is fantastic. Get it all in one. Get all the goodness and all the vitamins, minerals, proteins that your body needs in one little scoop of Kachava, and you can get 10% off for a limited time. So right now, go to kachava.com, Kachava, kachava.com/believe. You'll get 10% off your first order. Kachava.com/believe. Let's talk about the co-main event, Khamzat Chimaev, Kamaru Usman. Chimaev in the first round is just such a wrecking ball. I mean, the force, the output, the pressure. I mean, fair play to Kamaru Usman. He showed his championship caliber. He stayed cool, calm, collected, and composed. He didn't make mistakes. He didn't get finished. He didn't get choked out. But that was all that he did. And that's not any insult to Kamaru. Khamzat was just on the attack. The wrestling was phenomenal. The control was sublime. The body triangles, the rear, they had the hooks in. The only thing he didn't do was flatten him out. I thought he could have done a little bit better there. He could have got the seatbelt grip and used the hooks to flatten him out, and maybe could have worked towards a finish there. It seemed like he was a bit too preoccupied to get the choke, but he could have flattened him out. But other than that, he was phenomenal. And I had that at 10-8 round. I don't know about you.
I did. Yeah, I had that at 10-8 round as well. You know what? I'm going to get roasted for this, but I got to be honest.
Go for it.
I want to see Khamzat in a few more fights like that before he fought for the title. And I'm not saying that he couldn't go fight for the title. I'm not saying he can't go fight for the title and win it right now. The only part of his game that I see that he could have some improvement is his pacing. He's 100 miles an hour or 55. Like there's no cruising at 55, jump up to 70, back down to 60, up to 90, back. Like he hasn't had to up to this point because no one is capable of hanging with him up till now, until Gilbert Burns and now Kamaru. No one's even challenged him. So he hasn't had the ability to learn on the fly how to pace himself so that he doesn't have to take off the last 2 rounds. You know what I mean? And of course, those 2 rounds were close. Some people had Kamaru winning, some people had Khamzat. But I think if he could gauge his output a little bit differently and just have enough time over another 2 fights, even 5 rounders, to figure out how to how to end the round with more gas. Like it's hard to explain. You know what I'm talking about though,
I know exactly what you're saying.
Where you can kind of burst a little bit and then back off and then burst and then back off, and you can save your energy. And so instead of being this far dip that he has conditioning wise, he can make that a more gradual progression. So that's the only thing I can say negative. And that's not even really saying a negative. That's me saying that everyone else up to this point has been absolutely smoked. And now he just hasn't had quite enough time to figure out this 5-round atmosphere. The problem, and this is where I'm going with this, he can beat Sean Strickland for sure. Can he win a 5-round decision over Sean Strickland if he can't finish him in the first 2 rounds? I don't know. It's not even a skill thing. It's the ability to fight at the pace that Strickland fights at.
Well, I mean, the way you can look at it is 2 ways.
Maybe he gets 5 takedowns. Who knows? You know what I mean? It just controls.
Yeah, but talking about the Kamaru fight, you can look at it from 2 ways. You could say he went out there and just utterly brutalized in round 1, a former welterweight 5-time champ, or defended the belt 5 times and the pound for pound number 1. And then he won a decision over him, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a great thing, okay?
That's great.
And you could say that the pace slowed, but he still won the fight. And beating and getting a win over Kamaru Usman is not an easy thing to do. And I know Sean Strickland has said he doesn't deserve it because he just beat Usman, a welterweight. That welterweight, and Chimaev was a welterweight, and Strickland was a welterweight, and that welterweight in Usman beat Sean Strickland. So he did something that you couldn't do, but regardless, going off the topic, one way of looking at it is that he just beat Kamaru Usman, okay? Another way of looking at it, and I'm not talking shit, I'm just saying, look at both sides of it, is that anytime he stepped up to elite, meaning Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, he's really struggled. Because... you know, that's the facts. A lot of people thought if it was 5 rounds against Gilbert, he would have had an issue. If it was 5 rounds against Kamaru Usman, it might have been a different scenario. Now, granted, you throw in the fact that potentially he broke his hand in round 1.
Right.
Right. And we got to take that on board, you know, because that will affect your output. He was walking out just as you get to like the apron as to go backstage. He was talking to his teammates, said he broke his hand and stuff. He's not saying that for the camera. You know what I mean? When you're walking out, you don't know. You're not aware
there's a camera there.
You don't even realize that there's cameras on you. You've just gone through this crazy adrenaline pumping situation. You've just fought your goddamn ass off in front of God knows how many people. The world is watching. And then you finally get out. The crowd's gone. You know what I mean? And then you can just, and then you're talking about your emotions and your feelings.
You're like talking to your coaches, like, I think my hand's broken.
I broke my hand. Putting on a performance for the cameras. So his hand was messed up regardless. We haven't had the imaging. So look, listen, they're the 2 ways you can look at that. And, you know, I thought Usman won the next 2 rounds, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Really close.
Really
I would
close.
have to make an argument for it. I'm just saying my initial reaction watching that was that I thought Usman just scraped it. Just. And I mean just.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to watch it again to stand here and give a really strong opinion. I'm not bothered by the result.
No, I was fine with it either way, even before it was red. I was like, well, whoever wins this deserves it, because I thought it was a fantastic performance from both guys.
I feel like it could have been a draw with the 10-8.
Yeah, one of the scorecards was a draw.
Yeah, I don't have any strong emotions either way. I thought Khamzat did well. I thought Usman really rebounded well, given the 2 losses against Leon. And that took, again, a lot of balls. He rolled the dice just as much to a certain degree as what Volkanovski did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he should hold his head up high. He really should.
And if Khamzat, for whatever reason, happens to see this, I don't know, he probably won't. But if he happens to see this, I want to like clarify. I'm not saying that I thought he looked bad. I'm saying what I'm doing is I'm picking out.
He looked phenomenal in round 1.
Yeah, he looked great. I'm just picking out the one little chink in his armor that I can find when they're not easy to find. That's about the only thing that I can say that he isn't great at. And so I'm saying that because I really believe in his skills and abilities, and I believe in his championship level that he's at. That would be if I was someone and he came to me, which he never would. But if he came to me and said, "What would you do different if you were me?" Or what could I add that would make me better? That's the only thing I can think of. Just those guys at the top of the food chain are so good at managing their output and managing their, Connor found that out the hard way as well, of just when he fought Nate Diaz the first time, especially when you go up a weight class, you got to manage your output better. And it's great to be, I don't know that there's a person in the world that's going to win a round 1 versus Khamzat. There might not be anybody.
Well, exactly.
The problem is round 2 got closer, and then round 3 got even closer than that. And then there wasn't a 4th, but what does 4 look like? And then what does 5 look like?
Well, correct.
That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem with pacing. I think he's got to work on his endurance and his stamina.
It's possible,
because
it's either
probably a bit of both.
Yeah, it's either his pacing, or maybe I don't want to say it's his anxiety, but like the squeeze that he had, it's hard to do that. Yeah, sometimes you almost have to let them up, and sometimes it's easier to let
the tank and recover though. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying, Anthony? And
I get what you're saying.
Khamzat. You should be able to go balls to the wall,
right,
and then be able to recover and go around 2, 3, 4. You should be able to do that, and if
you should be able to red line, and then be able to bring your heart rate back down. You should be able to get to. You should be able to get from 180 down to 100 in 60 seconds.
Yeah, and then be able to go again, and maybe that second round you take it. Still at a high pace, but a little bit less, not as crazy, But you should be able to do that. You should be able to fight at a high pace for 3 rounds, certainly. 5 rounds, maybe you change the strategy a little bit, but you should be able to go 3 rounds fucking crazy fast if you're training properly. And maybe just needs a couple of little tweaks here and there. Regardless, though, he did just beat Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away anything from that at all. That's an incredible feat. Not a lot of people can say they've done that. No. I think he looked great. I think he's incredibly dominant, especially when he gets a top position. The only takedowns I've ever seen him get stuffed on are ones when he looks like he's feeling it a little bit in the cardio area, and they're not quite as set up as well and not quite as explosive.
Was it round 3?
I thought he
hit a blast double. Was that 3 or 2? Because he missed a couple of takedowns where he shot far too far away. It was kind of telegraphed. But there was one that even DC got excited about. I think it might have been round 3. I'm not sure. I forget. But he hit one takedown and he was at quite the distance. And he level changed, and blasted forward and just got hold of Usman and it was a beautiful.
It might have been
takedown.
3 because even I think Usman defended it well too, and he got a hold of a leg and just climbed his way up. It's impressive. He's really, really impressive. I think
that's Usman.
Yeah, that's crazy. Once he figures out. Once he figures out kind of the conditioning part of it, that's going to be a mother to deal with.
Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev. Early thoughts. We've got lots to get to. Give me your quick thoughts on that.
Man, Strickland's hard to finish. He's really hard to finish, and he's going to be there for 5 rounds for sure. I think his takedown defense is better than people give him credit for. I think he's one of the guys that can really push Khamzat because he's going to be in his face the whole time. Khamzat does such a good job of pushing people back, but the couple times that Usman kind of really committed to stepping forward, Khamzat doesn't seem to enjoy fighting backwards. Not that any of us do, but some of
quick
us are
thoughts, lots to get to.
I don't know. It's a good fight. That's a good fight.
It's a tremendous fight. I look forward to it because I feel like the build.
I got to keep it quicker than that.
Yeah, no.
All the time.
Yeah. We're gonna go. No, we do have a lot to get to, and short of time. They've already started going back and forth, already talking shit.
Oh, I love
what
that.
did Chimaev say? I mean, because Strickland came out yesterday, said he doesn't deserve it, but I'll still fight him. So fair play. It's not like he's ducking him. He's saying, I don't think he deserves it. Mm-hmm. And we can slice that up 1,000 ways. He did just beat someone that beat you, so I think he does deserve it. Regardless, that's what was at stake. That's what Dana declared. So that's what it is. I can understand Dricus du Plessis having something to say about that. But this is the world we're in, boys. This is the way the cookies crumbled. And Khamzat came back, and what did he say? He said, I'll finish you, or something like that. He said, I know I can finish you. You know I can finish you, something like that. So that'll be fun because Strickland's not backwards in coming forward. So that'll be good. Right, now, want to hear your thoughts on this one. Johnny Walker, Magomed Ankalaev was looking like it was going to be a fun fight. I was enjoying it. Walker is Johnny Walker, before we get to the fight, the goofiest person on the UFC roster, or what?
He might be, yeah. Yeah, he might
By the way, I'm not talking shit. It's not an insult. I'm a goofy asshole.
Yeah, he's goofy.
I'm goofy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's walking out and he's giving it the,
Watching it from the outside is fun. When you're like trying to fight him, it's the most irritating shit in the world. But actually, it's entertaining watching it from the outside, though.
I can only imagine if you're standing
glad it's Ankalaev and not me, because that's annoying.
Yeah. If you're standing there in the octagon and you're waiting to fight this guy, and this motherfucker's like, and you're like, prick, get serious. I'm going to smash your face in a minute. Never mind breakdancing. Can you give me a bit of respect? Can you look a little concerned? Can you look a little locked in? Do you know what I mean? And then
can you pretend like we're here?
Yeah, can you pretend that you actually give a fuck about the threat that I present?
Right.
I mean, let's just get to it. There's not much to talk about. They went back and forth. Ankalaev was looking good. Hits him in the stomach. Johnny Walker fakes, plays possum, jumps up, flying knee.
Which is brilliant. Brilliant. The creativity to, in that moment, pretend you're hurt.
Yeah.
Get him to come in, eyes on him the whole time, and then throws this nasty knee. The problem is throwing flying attacks at Ankalaev is not recommended, because if it doesn't land, now you've just jumped into his arms, which is where you don't want to be. I think the doctor really fucked that one up.
Well, this is it. This is where we're going. And I got a little game for you to play.
Okay.
And Harrington and Brian, we can all play this game because the doctor goes up to him, right? First of all, he gets kneed in the head. That's a foul. Mm-hmm. We know that's a foul. That's against the rules. If the fight is called off because of that, first of all, why wasn't that a disqualification?
Because they ruled it unintentional.
Well, it looked pretty intentional.
It looked pretty intentional to me. Yeah, it looked pretty intentional to me. That's a nasty knee too.
And because
look how far above his head is, like, Johnny Walker is 6'6" or 6'7". His head is a foot below yours. He's probably down. I don't understand how that's unintentional.
And how does the referee know it was unintentional? How does it?
He doesn't. He's just guessing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that one was unintentional, guys. Even though consciously,
Could be where they were in the world.
Well, that's a good question, because where are you in the world is what the doctor asked, right? Yeah. Bearing in mind, English isn't the first language in Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure what nationality the doctor was. Johnny Walker is Brazilian, right? Even though he's learned English. So there's a language barrier. And then as Dana said it himself,
neither one of them speak English great.
Neither one of them have English as the first. And then he goes, "Where are you?" And he says, "I'm in the desert." And Dana says, "Well, he's not wrong.
That's close enough for me."
Well, look at the possibilities, and this is where we can play the game. Here are credible responses. I'm in Abu Dhabi. I'm in the United Arab Emirates. I'm in the desert. I'm in the octagon. I'm in the Middle East. I'm in Asia. I'm in a fight. What else we got?
I'm in the desert.
Well, we said that one. This is the game.
I don't know where
There's
else
so
you could
many
say.
answers.
The name of the arena. What is it?
I'm in the Etihad Arena.
Yeah.
I'm in shit right now.
Wherever the UFC just flew me.
Yeah.
I'm a downed opponent.
I'm in a bad state because I just got kneed in the head. And if you don't mind, can you stop asking me stupid questions?
Right.
You know what I mean? It was the kind of, I'm not shitting on the doctor. I'm sure there was no malintent.
No, it just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
You know, I was a little inexperienced. And then to call it off and then the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Walker, I mean, it was so frustrating. Listen, once a referee or a doctor waves it off, that's it. You can't backtrack on that. You just can't. And it's frustrating for the fighters, their teams, but for the fans and me at home watching it on my couch, I can only imagine if I'm in the arena and you've flown there for it. Yeah. The fighters are trying to get at one another. Yeah. The doctors waved it off. They were fine. They wanted to fight.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I wondered. Does the referee have the ability to override the doctor? I think they do. I think that they typically do take the doctor's advice, but I don't think that they're obligated to. I'm not 100% sure. I need to actually, I might send John McCarthy a text after this just to confirm that. But I think that they can. I think if the referee would have looked at Johnny, heard what was going on there, and the doctor said, I don't think he's ready, but I think if the referee was like, I think he's okay, I think he could go ahead and let them continue to fight. I'm not 100%. I don't think that they probably would do that, but I think he has the ability. And that seemed like one of those.
That is correct. The ref does not have to listen to the doctor.
See, I think that's one of those situations where if you're a experienced enough ref, I could see from my couch in Omaha, Nebraska, that Johnny was good to go. I can't. I don't know why. Why do you listen to anything Johnny Walker says? We just said he's goofy. Like, did you watch him walk to the octagon? Like he's going to give you a straight answer that you're looking for. He's ready to fight. He's locked in. Like, when I was in Singapore, that fucking doctor lady was just did me all these different, and I just walked away. Like, let me fight. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Here's what I want to
try
know.
to take control of the situation, and that's the one thing Johnny could have done different and said, "I'm fine. Let's fight," and stop with all the questions. That's what I've always done. Like, I don't want to get wrapped up in this weird back and forth where you're trying to be cool and you're trying to get your TV time. I'll let you know I'm good to go. Get the fuck out of here and leave me alone.
Yeah, he could have just said, listen, hey, never mind this. I'm fine.
I'm good.
I'm good. But my real question is, my real question is, poke in the eye, now you get 5 minutes. Knee in the balls, now you get 5 minutes. If there's an illegal blow, right, and you're going to call the fight off, why can't you give him 5 minutes to get the wherewithal? Let's just say at first he's kneed in the head. He's like, whoa, hang on a minute. I will be okay. I'm a little blurry right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Give me a second.
Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. You let that guy who got kicked in the balls have 5 minutes. You let the iPod guy get
and you didn't even believe he got kicked in the balls.
And I just got kneed in the face of Magomed Ankalaev. Just give me a minute or two and I'll be good. You know, I don't make the rules, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. And I'm sure for fighters' safety, maybe there's a reason.
Give you so much input too, and that's the thing that like when I took the illegal knee from John, the one thing that bothered me is I just wanted to be left alone. Like, leave me alone for like 2 solid minutes. Let me clear this up in my own head, and let me like refocus and realign myself, and then we can go. But I don't need all the questions. Like, how do you feel? What time is it? Where you know where you are? Do you know what day it is? Like, how much do you weigh? How many kids do you have? Like, I don't need to have this dialogue back and forth. Like, don't talk to me. I don't want to answer any questions. Give me a couple minutes. And then if you got to ask a question or two and we can go, fine. But it's all the back and forth constantly.
Well, as you say, because at that moment in time, you've been kneed in the head. You're in the middle of a fight. Adrenaline's high. Not to mention emotions are high. You're pissed off. You're mad. You're angry. And all people are different. And you say one wrong thing and they're going to wave off the entire fight.
Right.
It just seems a little bit premature.
It feels like they're rushing you too. Like, that's the one thing that I don't like is at least in my situation and seemingly Johnny's as well. There's so many questions and there's so much dialogue and they want to talk to you. Like, you feel like they're trying to rush you back. And you just want to be like, will you just go away for like 60 full seconds? I don't want to talk to anybody. Give me a second.
So think about this, because you're right. I mean, let me think. I've been through some rounds where I've just had the living shit kicked out of me, right? And there's a lot of fights. What's a really, really bad ass kicking someone took? Not Kamaru, because it was mainly grappling. But there's lots of fights. Like when I fought
Glover.
Or when Anderson Silva flying kneed me in the face. I didn't know what goddamn day it was. But it was the end of the round. It was the end of the round. If that doctor had come up to me right then and there and said, "Where are you?" I wouldn't have had a clue. But I had 60 seconds to get my shit together. And then I went out and won the next round. And then there's a lot of times where fighters, if they get asked at the end of a round, "Hey, where are you, buddy?" They'd probably get those questions wrong. It's like, let me sit down. Let my coach.
I couldn't tell you what round it was.
Yeah.
What round is it? Like, if they were to say, "Anthony, what round is it?" I'd be like, 2. They're like, "This is 5, idiot."
Chael Sonnen hit me in that fight. I told you I was transported to the middle of a bloody field riding a bike with daffodils and daisies everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
The movie 300. What are you talking about?
Oh, dear. It's a shame. Do you think they will rebook that fight?
I hope so, because it looked like it was going to turn out to be a pretty good fight.
It was looking good.
They're kind of both trading leg kicks, and it
was a shame.
I like the style matchup. Seemed like it was pulling the best out of each other. I would love to see those guys fight again.
All right, guys, today's episode is sponsored by Shopify. Look, listen, if you have a business, if you're thinking of starting a business, then Shopify is a tool that you need in your life. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. So whatever it is that you want to sell, whatever your business is, getting online is absolutely crucial. And doing it with Shopify is quick, easy, cheap, effective. I mean, the support that you get through Shopify is second to none. It lets you sell on all the social media marketplaces, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth. And Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without having to learn any new skills in design or code. It is very, very simple. And thanks to 24/7 help and an extensive business course library, Shopify is there to support your success every single step of the way. And we have a great offer. It is ridiculously cheap. And bear in mind, Shopify lets you accept every major payment method straight away. So as I say, if you're thinking of starting a business, now is the time. If you have a business and you're not online, now is the time. It is your time to get serious about selling and try Shopify today. So check this out. Sign up for $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/believe, all lowercase. As I say, shopify.com/believe. Take your business to the next level today for a trial of $1 per month. Shopify.com/believe. Herringbone. Give us a story.
Okay. So check this out. Elon Musk, you know how like every time you go onto Wikipedia, they're asking you for donations?
I hate that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. It bothers me so much.
Well, Elon Musk has figured out a solution where that will never come across your feed again. all that Wikipedia has to do is change their name to Dickopedia, and Elon Musk will personally send them $1 billion.
Elon Musk. I mean, what is he doing? I like it.
I love
it's
him.
brilliant. I know.
I want to hang out with him.
I mean, you haven't got people like Bill Gates and stuff like that doing stuff like this. It's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? He's got a great sense of humor. I mean, Wikipedia doesn't know the fuck out of me. I use Wikipedia a lot, like when for doing research on fighters and stuff like that. I just looked at the page a minute ago, looking for stats and whatnot on UFC 294. It's brilliant. But stop begging for money off me.
Right.
I'm not going to give you any money.
Find it somewhere. Does anybody donate money to Wikipedia?
Oh, I don't know.
There's no way. That's a great poll you should put on Twitter.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm doing it right now.
Has anybody given money to Wikipedia, or has anyone donated when Wikipedia asked for money? Because it's absolutely ridiculous. You know what I love about Elon Musk, though? How many times have you guys, and even Harrington and Brian, you guys can answer too. How many times have you been with a group of friends and someone says, "Oh, you should go do this," and it's really stupid, and that person says, "No, I'm not going to do that." But then there is that one friend in the group where you're like, "I'll give you $100 if you go do whatever that thing is, whether it's talk to some random girl in a bar, or do something stupid that's dangerous." Because I do that shit all the time, where I'm like, "I'll give you $20 if you do that." He's just the same version of that, but a billionaire. I'll give you $1 billion if you call it Dickopedia.
Dickopedia. I mean, it's so childish.
That's why I love it.
I know, exactly the same here, and it probably means I'm childish, but it's just the hilarity of a multi-billionaire, one of the richest. I think he is the richest man on the planet. Going out and just making these stupid jokes. Oh God, it's brilliant.
That's like the billionaire version of "I bet you won't." I love it.
Wouldn't it be great? You could just like bribe all your friends to do dumb shit.
Oh, for sure.
Really? You don't want to do that? $1 million?
It'd be a new episode of Fear Factor around my house every day.
Oh,
like I'll give you $1,000 to go eat those. I don't know.
What could we get Harrington to do for $1 million? Or Harrington, what wouldn't you do for $1 million? Should I say? That's probably a better question.
I mean, if it doesn't involve murder of anyone that I love, whatever.
What could we get you to do for it? What would you not do for $1,000?
Oof, I don't know. That's tough. I mean,
I tell you what. Go on. Sorry.
You got to give me the like thumbs up, thumbs down. Like there's a lot I would do for $1,000.
That asshole that punched me in the face in New Orleans wants to box you for $1,000, but he's not getting it. He assaulted me. He's not getting rewarded for that, so I apologize.
Yeah, you're right. I will knock him out, and then you can give me $1,000 because I could use it.
Yeah. Okay, not bad. But you said as long as it doesn't involve murdering anybody.
No.
Other than that, things are on the table.
You would murder a
so
stranger
picky.
for $1 million?
Yes.
What's that,
in a
Brian?
heartbeat.
Said I'm not so picky.
Would you fornicate with an animal?
For $1 million? Yes.
Depends on the animal.
Think careful about what you're saying here, Harrington. This is live.
Okay, cool. I'm committing a crime. I can buy my way out of that crime with the better part of $1 million.
Harrington will commit bestiality if the price is right.
You are a terrible father if you wouldn't.
I'm a bad dad.
Yeah, wow.
But now your kids have to live knowing that their dad banged a four-legged creature.
Oh, my daughter's going to have to live with me knowing
That's
everything
fair.
I've done. It's worse.
You're a better father if you say, son, I was given the opportunity by this rich psychopath that actually wanted me to insert my penis into a canine. And he was going to give me $1 million and he was just going to laugh at me. And do you know what I did? I said no. I said no because I've got self-respect as a man. And I'm not going to be bullied by somebody like that. I'm not going to be mocked. Okay.
Yeah. And then
now, unfortunately, we're moving out because we're actually homeless. Okay? But just know, I've got my pride and my principles and my morals in check.
It's called having principles, Harrington.
Principles.
Ultimately not worth it.
Okay. Well, we're going to see what maybe during the November pay-per-view, I can see what I can get Harrington to do for $1,000.
Oh, we gotta plan some stuff. We gotta plan. So we're doing the Thursday show in person.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, you don't get in late till Monday, do you? Should we do Tuesday? Can we do Tuesday? You got obligations for ESPN?
Wait, I get to New York on Wednesday.
Oh, right. Forget that. Forget I said anything. Do you have time to do a show Thursday?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Boom. We'll plan something big. Okay. So 294. We've been through the top 3 fights. Well done. I mean, you had to feel for who got kicked in the nuts. What was his name? I'm blanking right now. Victor Henry. Yeah. Oh my God. That was a bad one.
And that doctor's like, no, he didn't. Like, well, yes, he did. Definitely kicked me in the balls.
I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have too much more time today because I've got to be on some meetings. So it'll be a shorter one today. So Harrington, out of all the notes that you've stuck in here, what's the juiciest that we need to get to?
Well, I was just going to say one other thing for 294. Apparently, Makhachev was down on all of the judges' scorecards heading into round 3. So if he didn't get the finish there, he doesn't get the win. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, but it's okay. I'll pick a new story out. You're fine. You're fine. No, off you go. Off you go. I asked for a news story.
You're out of here.
By the way, shout out Muhammad Makhachev. He did. I mean, that was. It's not easy to submit Tim Elliott.
It's not. Tim Elliott is good. I got a lot of respect for Tim Elliott. So that's a good win.
Me too.
That's a good win for a young up and comer.
No, it really is. So, Harrington. What's a big news story that we have?
Javid
Basharat.
Mm-hmm.
You got something to say about Javid Basharat?
I mean,
Hey, I tell you what, though, talking to him, I'm just teasing, of course. First fight of the night, though, Shara Magomedov.
Yeah. That guy's pretty good.
Dude.
That dude's pretty good.
I wanted to see that fight.
Can't defend a takedown to save his life.
Can't defend the takedown, can't get back to his feet, but he can fight off his back though and do some damage.
But he can crack.
Yeah. The kicks.
He did you see the shout out he gave you?
I did, yeah, bless him.
I thought that was super cool.
No, it was. And well done to him because I don't know if he's blind in that eye or whatever, but he's got an eye issue. We can clearly see that. And I wish him nothing but the best. And that was a beautiful. Bruno Silva's not an easy man to beat.
No, he's not. That guy's really
not an easy man to beat. And on the feet, it wasn't all over him. Bruno had some success, but he's very, very explosive. The kicking game is phenomenal. So well done. All right, Harrington, what you got, buddy? Come on. Give it to me.
Well, I mean, obviously the biggest source in all of combat news, Jake Paul's MVP Promotions made a statement this morning. You ready for this? There will be no rematch in boxing, but an offer has been issued from the PFL to both Jake Paul and Nate Diaz to fight in the PFL. And according to MVP Promotions, Jake has already signed his side of the deal.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
It's not happening. Go on, Anthony, give your thoughts.
Nate Diaz is not going to PFL. He's not going to fight in the PFL. He's made that clear already. It's not too often Nate Diaz goes back on his word or does something that he says he isn't going to do. I don't think Nate Diaz wants to close the door to the UFC, and fighting in the PFL would absolutely do that. Also, of course, it's going to be the PFL because that's where Jake signed his little influencer celebrity MMA deal with. So he probably couldn't fight MMA anywhere else. So he kind of backed himself into a corner there. And
if I'm Nate Diaz, I'm not lowering myself to fighting Jake Paul in mixed martial arts.
No. I think he probably would. I just don't think that he would do it in the PFL. If it was his own promotion.
I couldn't personally. We fight the best fighters in the world. Nate Diaz has been in there with the best fighters in the world. And then, it's one thing to box him. I'm doing this, doing this boxing thing. Jake fucking Paul. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to smash this motherfucker. Right? That's all well and good. But then it's like, no, this is a real fight. Mixed martial arts. I'm training. I'm bringing in the training partners. Who's the guy? Yeah, that fucking joke. Jake Paul. Really? I couldn't do it. It's what we said before. You want to get up for the challenges. I couldn't do that. I couldn't waste an 8-week training camp
for Jake
on that fucking drip of snot. Do you know what I mean? There's just no way. There's just no way. I'm doing the press. That's why Diaz was kind of embarrassed at the press conferences. Remember when he was there?
Yeah, he was
around, and he got up and walked off.
He's like, this nerd.
Yeah. But we're not going from 294 to Jake Paul. And I appreciate it, Harrington. I appreciate it, brother. Not getting on your case, but it just seems like a bit of a con down.
I don't know if the word that I feel for it is appreciation, but it's a great try.
All right, how about this? A couple different Bellator guys are now free agents.
Nope.
Okay.
Next.
There was no. The only reason I'm saying this is that there was one that I did want to get to specifically as we were talking there. I looked. So Belal Muhammad, of course, the welterweight, doing great things, on quite the run, winning great fights. He came out last week and said that he feels that his resume is going to be better than George St. Pierre's when it's all done and dusted. How do you feel about that? He said it would cement me, if he beats Leon Edwards, it would cement me as the best welterweight to ever do it. When you look at my resume, it'll be up there with George St. Pierre's resume. There will be nobody else up there with me. And I feel, God bless Belal, he's promoting himself, and I know he's chomping at the bit to get a shot at the belt, so it's not his fault. You know, I don't think winning the belt will be enough. You then have to go on a long run like a Kamaru or a George St. Pierre did.
That was going to be my point. It has nothing to do with what he's done up to this point. It has nothing to do with the names that he's got on his record. It's the duration of being the champion. And he's not even got the belt yet. Until you get it and defend it as many times as George has, or as many times as Kamaru did, you're not even in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's only fair to Kamaru and GSP. That's to be fair to them. Until you get the belt and defend it at least as many times as they have, I don't think you're allowed to be in that conversation.
I'll tell you who is, though, approaching those conversations. If he can beat Colby Covington, Leon Edwards,
he's well on his way.
He'll be on his way. He'll be on his way. 2-0 against Kamaru. If he can beat Colby, you know, and then let's say it's Belal next. If he could go through Belal. The thing is, you know, it's hard, isn't it? Because when you say names like Colby, who's great, Kamaru, of course, is a legend, and Belal, of course, just as good. There's not the same nostalgia as names like saying Matt Hughes and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because they're the current crop competing today, and they're fantastic. And who knows, maybe pound for pound, they're better than what they used to be.
Yeah, and they might be.
Yeah, because the sport and the athletes get better. But you know, when you start getting into the sport and you're watching it, you know, you look at
feels different than like BJ
Randy
Penn.
Couture, Chuck Liddell, you know, like these legendary old school names.
Yeah,
you know,
it feels
what I mean?
different.
Like, this guy beat fucking Matt Hughes. Who else did he beat? BJ Penn,
Dan Hardy, John Fitch, Koscheck.
Rhyme them off.
Thiago Alves.
Michael Bisping.
Oh, that one doesn't count. I was at middleweight.
And I was injured.
Michael was injured. And you're my friend and he's not, so we won't talk about it.
Yeah. He's my friend, though. I like George. He's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, I just went to George St. Pierre's Wikipedia page.
And they asked for $5.
They're asking me for money. Get fucked. I don't want to.
Just went to Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Nate Diaz, Carlos Condit, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Thiago Alves, BJ Penn, John Fitch, Matt Serra, Matt Hughes. I mean, yeah. But it's when you hear those like old school names, I think it just resonates. I think new school fans probably not the same thing, but
yeah.
What do you think? Harrington, is there any Bellator free agents, Harrington?
There is a couple of them, actually. Michael Venom Page, he's announced that he is now a free agent. Dana White said that he is, in fact, talking to him. There is interest on the UFC side, and there's interest on MVP side. So there might be an announcement soon. So that's the good one. The bad one, on Saturday, they announced Bellator. Yeah, all right, fine. I'm done.
Go ahead. Go on.
Bellator announced that Dylan Dennis is now a free agent, and Dylan Dennis apparently said to Mike Bone, it is either the UFC next or I'm going to retire from combat sports forever.
No. Dylan, don't do it. Please.
I hope he gets signed to the UFC.
Mess with our emotions.
I hope he gets signed to the UFC.
Does Conor have enough pull to get him signed to the UFC?
Here's what I'll say.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Oh my God. I hope he does.
Oh, God.
I hope he signs to the UFC.
I forgot about the Conor thing. And listen, to be fair, he has elevated his name.
He's got 1 million followers on Twitter. He gained 700,000 followers or something like that in the build-up to the Logan Paul fight.
Did he really?
Yeah. It's
he's the
crazy.
biggest troll ever. Granted, he's got good jiu-jitsu, so I guess in MMA it might be something different.
My God, there's probably some fights he could win.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he's technically undefeated. He is a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. His popularity or infamy, is that a word? Infamy?
No,
Notoriety.
Yeah, he's
notoriety
popular.
as elevated.
There's a difference between being popular and being liked. He's very popular, not so much liked.
Notorious. That's what he is. He's a little notorious now for being a total dickhead at a bell end, but it's kind of funny as well at the same time. Do you really?
I hope so. Put him on a main card of a pay-per-view.
What would he fight at? Welterweight?
Probably 55.
No, he'd be a welterweight, I think, isn't he?
I think he was pretty blown up at 180.
So his Bellator fights were all catchweight fights at 175. So somewhere between welterweight.
Yeah, probably welterweight then.
Yeah. But I can't do it. Let's talk about Michael Venom Page, though. Michael Venom Page, and listen, fair play to Dylan. We're all trying to get ahead in life and do our thing. Michael Venom Page, though, that excites me. I'm such a fan.
MVP versus Stephen Thompson. How much fun would that be? Man, I love that. I hope that's his first fight if he gets signed.
I love it. But we'll get him on the show. We had him on, I don't know, a year ago, 18 months ago. Did you speak to him as well?
I didn't. No.
Yeah, it was a while ago. But I'll reach out. I'll get him on maybe for next week. I love everything about
That'd be fun.
Fight. He's cool, man. He's cool.
You know, I used to not like him. Maybe that's a little strong. I used to always think like, oh, look at this. When he first kind of came out and hit the scene, really blew up. I used to always think, look at this cocky asshole. Like you see his fight style and he's all over the place. He seems very arrogant. And then I watched an interview. I'm like, oh, wow. He's like a really nice guy. Like seemed very humble and like down to earth. And that's just the way he fights. And that's his personality in the octagon. I was like really impressed with how humble and nice seemingly he was. It changed my whole perspective on him. Like once I heard him speak, then I was a huge fan.
Yeah, I'd met him multiple times, but I really had a good conversation with him. He came to my Tales from the Octagon show a couple of years ago, and afterwards we had a really good chat. And again, as I said, we'd met before, but I left that thinking he's just salt of the earth. What a great guy. So well done to him, and we'll try and get him on the show soon. I'm going to dip out. If you want to stick around and do a couple of questions, feel free.
Yeah,
but 5 minutes, I'm due to be on a meeting.
Yeah,
Power Slam Wednesday.
I'll do some questions and we'll get out of here.
Guys.
Dude, I'm gonna throw a party. I'm gonna throw a party for Power Slam on Wednesday.
Go crazy. Go crazy.
For you.
Go crazy. Questions without me.
And then talk to Zach today.
Now. Oh no, I'm getting you on. I'm getting you on. Guys, I'm gonna dip out. Adios, amigos. What do I do? What do I do? How do I do this?
Get out of here.
If you have a question, send it to bympod@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure you subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps us out on those platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new episode drops. And if you want to catch over 500 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free, totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM. Get yourself a 7-day free trial. Check it over 20 great shows on the.
All right. So we have 2 questions and a somewhat unintelligible thing from a pig monster that we might play at the end. But this first question here is from Kevin Doyle.
What's up, Bisping, Smith, Harrington, Brian? Hope all is well. Happy Monday. My question today, we're heading into the end of the year, heading into 2024. Who's your dark horse rest of the year? Who do you think is going to really kind of come out of the dark, make a big name for themselves as we head into next year? Maybe a title challenger, maybe somebody breaking into this top 15. Personally, he's not that much of a dark horse, but I think it's going to be Matt Frevola. The guy is just an absolute workhorse, keeps doing the right thing in regards to making a name for himself. I think with a big win in November at MSG. He's definitely going to be potentially in the talks for a title challenger in 2024. Who do you got? Peace.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the same weight class. Actually, I actually think that Bobby Green is going to really blow up here. I think he's going to get a couple opportunities in some big fights. I don't know that we'll see him challenge for a title. I don't know what that looks like, but I do see like a very Masvidal-esque type of run coming from Bobby Green. I think that he really cemented himself in a position to get a money fight, and I just feel like he's hot right now. So I think that Bobby Green's going to do well.
So I was just going to grab from one of my best friends, the kid who got me into the UFC, put me onto this dude, and I'm kind of blown away by his resume so far. Jonathan Martinez.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
6-0 in the UFC so far, looking absolutely incredible.
He's 6-1.
6-1?
6-1. He took a loss to he has a loss.
Okay. I mean, all right. So that's news to me. But I mean, the wins that he has, I mean, Said Nurmagomedov looked absolutely sensational, getting the choke in the first round. That's the only blemish on his record of recent note.
That's it.
Going
Am I crazy?
What?
Didn't Jonathan got beat 4 fights ago?
I'm looking here. I mean, I was saying the Nurmagomedov, like he's the only dude to beat him recently. Oh, Davey Grant. Got a KO TKO against him back in 2021.
Oh, he's on a 6-0 run. He's 6-fight win. Okay, yeah. No, Pedro's the shit, man. He's super cool. I wish he would let people in on his personality a little bit more. He's really funny, He's very quiet though.
If we can get past all these visa issues, I would imagine that he's having, this dude Magomed Sharaputin is a monster
for sure. Yeah,
and
that guy's
I can't wait to see him. Yeah, I feel like he's going to be like Zabit, though. I feel like there's going to be issues where it's going to prevent him from fighting a lot.
Yeah, it sucks.
He's also, isn't he also like in his early 30s to mid 30s? Like that's a little late for a guy to be making their UFC debut. And I'm not saying he's not extremely, fun to watch, but the just the longevity and
are you saying that's old?
No, I'm mid 30s. No,
well, you're old.
That's
though.
Not old, but
yeah, he's old.
You're an old mid 30s.
I mean, Harrington, you could tell that to 76-year-old Yoel Romero, who is still knocking people out.
Dude, every Cuban person I ever meet knows who Yoel Romero is. The guy that delivered my furniture the other day was like, "You fight, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, I wanted a picture and stuff. He's like, "I know Yoel." Like they used to wrestle together on like the national team. I was like, everybody knows Yoel.
Bro, I was in Havana very briefly, like in that little window where we were allowed to visit Cuba. I went to Havana and I spoke to, and that was like the number one thing because I was wearing like a UFC shirt. Everybody came around telling me about how great Yoel Romero is.
It's amazing.
So sick. The legend out there.
Yeah, he raised half the fucking island.
All right, let's do one more so I can jet. So I got to talk to these kids.
All right, we're gonna skip the pig monster then.
All right,
we got
bring it up on Monday.
Yeah, we got a question here from Waleed.
What's up, BYM crew? Just a quick question for you. Whenever a fighter tweets out or makes the public aware of an injury, like how Paulo Costa did with his elbow, weeks out from the fight, is that something the UFC keeps an eye on and, maybe checks up on the fighter to make sure they'll be able to, make it to the fight so there's not a last minute cancellation like there was? Is that something, is that a procedure that's in place, or do they kind of just let it go until the fighter says something? Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
A lot of times they'll reach out and see how serious that is. To be very honest with you, though, not very many people do disclose injuries. That's Paulo Costa is very much in the minority there. To be fair to Paulo Costa, though, Dana and kind of that whole situation kind of came out, and Paulo told them a while ago, like, here's what's going on. I still want to stay in the fight, but I got to deal with this. They did start to look for a replacement in case something happened. They just were unable to find one until when they eventually found one. So I think his hands are a little more clean than maybe we gave him credit for leading up into that. He didn't announce anything to the public that the UFC didn't already know. So I think he deserves at least a little bit of clarity there, because although the media and the public found out about it through kind of the social media and stuff, the UFC was already aware. So
I ever tell you Paulo Costa is my new favorite Twitter follow?
Oh, dude, it's incredible. Yeah,
we should have him on the show for Conspiracy Corner because he seems to be into all of them.
Look at this.
I'm not mad at the things that he's talking about here. There's no flat Earth and there's no
black. Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know what blue beam is. Did you see that Khamzat injury led to Jared Cannonier being on the shelf for a few months? I'm sorry, the Paulo Costa injury.
No.
So they hit up Jared Cannonier to be like, "Yo, do you want?"
Oh, and then he got hurt training to replace him.
He got hurt just trying to do like mat returns and strictly wrestling, and he spiked his leg, blew out his MCL. He wasn't able to take the replacement fight against Khamzat, and now he's probably going to be out of the Dolidze fight as well.
Oh no! What a mess! Way to go, Paulo.
Rough timing.
That is crazy. All right, I'm gonna go talk to some kids and see if I can change some mentalities and see if we can push these people forward in life. We appreciate you guys as always, and we will see you on Thursday.